Picture this. It's December 24th, 2008, Christmas Eve, and while everyone in America is wrapping presents and getting ready for holiday dinners, there's this 37-year-old guy sitting alone in his office staring at a phone. His hands are shaking because on the other end of that line are investors who are about to decide whether his company lives or dies. And here's the wild part. In 3 days, just 3 days, Tesla Motors is going to run out of money. Payroll's going to bounce. The whole thing collapses. Any chance of electric cars mattering for the next decade goes with it. But wait, it gets worse. Because that's not even his biggest problem. Across town at another facility, his rocket company SpaceX has just failed its third launch. The rocket exploded. Again. $100 million of his own money turned into a fireball and scattered across the Pacific Ocean. Plus, he's in the middle of this messy public divorce. The Great Recession just destroyed the global economy. And get this, he's so broke, he's borrowing money from friends to pay his rent. This is Elon Musk at his absolute lowest point. The man who's worth over $500 billion today didn't have enough cash to cover his personal expenses. So you're probably wondering, how the hell did he get here? And more importantly, how did he turn this complete nightmare into the greatest wealth creation story that's ever been told? And I promise you, it's way more interesting than you think. Okay, so let's rewind to where this actually begins. June 28, 1971, Pretoria, South Africa. Elon Reeve Musk is born into a family that's honestly kind of complicated. His father Errol is an engineer and property developer. His mom May is a model and dietitian who was born in Canada. And here's where we need to talk about something that the internet loves to argue about, the whole emerald mine thing. Look, I'm just going to be straight with you. Yes, Elon Musk partially owned an emerald mine in Zambia in the 1980s. Yes, the family wealth grew to over $100 million during that decade. Young Elon grew up comfortable. Private schools, no money worries. That's all true. But, and this is important, Musk himself has always pushed back on the idea that family money funded his companies, and honestly, the evidence backs him up on that. We'll get to why in a minute. What's way more interesting to me than his family's money is what he did as a kid. Because at age 10, he discovers computers. This is 1981. So most people have never even seen a personal computer. Elon teaches himself programming from a manual that's supposed to take 6 months to complete, and he finishes it in 3 days. I mean, come on, that's kind of insane. By age 12, he's created this video game called Blastar. It's a simple space shooter thing, and he sells it to a computer magazine for $500. That's his first taste of turning code into cash, and apparently that taste was pretty addictive. But South Africa in the 1980s wasn't exactly a paradise, right? This is the height of apartheid. The country's under international sanctions. And there's mandatory military service for white males, serving in an army that's enforcing a system Elon fundamentally opposed. So at 17, he makes this huge decision. He just leaves, gets on a plane to Canada because his mother was born there, so he's got citizenship. He arrives with basically nothing, stays with relatives, works these random odd jobs, shoveling grain in wheat silos, cutting logs with a chainsaw. This is important to understand because the Elon Musk who shows up in North America isn't rolling in family money. He's a teenager doing manual labor and figuring it out. He enrolls at Queen's University in Ontario, then transfers to University of Pennsylvania, gets a degree in physics, gets another one in economics from Wharton, and then in 1995 he gets accepted to Stanford University for a PhD in physics, shows up in California, attends exactly 2 days of classes, and drops out. Why? Because he could feel it. The internet was about to explode. This is 1995. The Netscape IPO just happened. People are starting to realize this World Wide Web thing might actually be more than a toy for academics. And Elon's thinking, if I stay in school for 5 years, getting a PhD, I'm going to miss the whole thing. So he teams up with his brother Kimball and this guy named Greg Corey, and they start a company called Global Link Information Network. The idea is basically an online business directory. Think Yellow Pages, but on the internet, with maps. Simple concept, but terrible execution. They're sleeping in the office. They have one computer. During the day, the computer runs the website. At night, Elon codes on it. They're showering at the YMCA. It's gritty and desperate, and exactly the kind of struggle that teaches you whether you actually want this life or not. But slowly, it starts working. They rename the company Zip2. They get $3 million in funding from a venture capital firm. They sign deals with newspapers like the New York Times. And then in February 1999, a company called Compaq decides they want to buy Zip2 for $307 million. And Elon Musk, at 27 years old, walks away with $22 million. Now what would you do with $22 million at age 27? Maybe buy a nice house, invest conservatively, take a vacation. Elon Musk buys a McLaren F1 supercar for $1 million. This is one of the fastest, most exclusive cars on the planet. Only 106 were ever made. He picks it up and there's a camera crew there filming him because he's this young internet millionaire living the dream. He's driving around with Peter Thiel showing off the car, and then boom, he wrecks it. Launches it into the air, completely destroys it. Oh, and it's uninsured. $1 million just poof gone. And Thiel later jokes about it like, oh my God, what's happening? And here's the thing, that McLaren crash is almost a perfect metaphor for what's about to happen next, because Musk's about to take his remaining $21 million and crash it in an even more spectacular fashion. But this time, the whole world would be watching. March 1999. Elon's got money burning a hole in his pocket and another idea consuming his mind. He founds a company called X.com. The vision is online banking and financial services, handling everything from checking accounts to insurance all through the internet. Remember, this is 1999. Online banking barely exists. Most people still write paper checks and visit physical bank branches. The idea of managing your entire financial life through a website sounds completely insane. But Musk's not alone in this space. There's another company called Confinity, co-founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, working on something similar. Digital payments, specifically something called PayPal. March 2000, the two companies merge. It's supposed to be this perfect partnership. Two ambitious startups joining forces to dominate online payments. Elon becomes CEO of the combined company, and that's when things start to fall apart. See, Musk has opinions, strong ones. He wants to switch the entire company's infrastructure from Unix-based servers to Microsoft Windows servers. The engineers think this is a terrible idea. There are these heated arguments. The office culture becomes toxic. And then Elon makes this critical mistake. He goes on vacation. September 2000, while Musk is on his honeymoon, the board of directors holds a meeting, and they vote to remove him as CEO and replace him with Peter Thiel. Elon Musk gets fired from his own company. Years later, he'll reflect on this moment and say, "It's not a good idea to leave the office when there are a lot of major things underway that are causing people a great deal of stress." Lesson learned the hard way. But here's the silver lining. Musk still owns a massive chunk of the company, and in October 2002, eBay decides to buy PayPal for $1.5 billion. After taxes, Musk walks away with $175.8 million. So now we're at a crossroads. Elon Musk is 31 years old with $175 million in the bank. He's already sold 2 companies. He could retire right now and live in absolute luxury for the rest of his life. That's what most people would do. That's what most people should do. Elon Musk does the opposite. June 2002, he found Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, SpaceX. The stated mission is to reduce the cost of space transportation and enable the colonization of Mars. Let me say that again. His business plan is, we're going to colonize Mars. He invests $100 million of his own money into this company. But he's not done. In 2003, there's this tiny electric car startup in Silicon Valley called Tesla Motors, founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. They're trying to build electric sports cars using laptop batteries, and everyone thinks they're crazy. Elon invests $6.5 million and becomes chairman of the board. Now let's pause here and appreciate the absolute insanity of these decisions. Starting a rocket company. The last successful American rocket company was founded in the 1960s. Dozens of billionaires and corporations have tried and failed to build private space companies. It's where fortunes go to die, electric cars. The last major attempt was GM's EV1 in the 1990s, and they crushed all of them in a junkyard. The automotive industry is the most capital-intensive, low-margin business on Earth, and electric cars specifically have been tried and failed for over a century. His friends are telling him, "Elon, you're going to lose everything. Take your money, invest in real estate, buy some index funds, enjoy your life." And his response is, when something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. And by 2008, those odds are about to catch up with him in the most brutal way imaginable. If you want to understand Elon Musk, I mean really understand what makes him different, you need to understand 2008. Years later, he'll call it the worst year of my life. He'll say he reached the lowest of the lows. He'll describe it as a nightmare year, and he's not exaggerating. Let's start with SpaceX. By 2008, the company has attempted 3 launches of the Falcon 1 rocket. 3 launches, 3 failures. March 2006, first launch. The rocket lasts 33 seconds before a fuel line breaks, and the whole thing explodes. March 2007, second launch. Makes it through stage separation, but then the rocket starts spinning out of control and crashes into the ocean. August 2008, third launch. This time it gets further, but still doesn't make it to orbit. Another failure. Each failure costs tens of millions of dollars, and that's not investor money being destroyed. That's Elon's money, his PayPal fortune exploding into fireballs over the Pacific Ocean. And the worst part, he only has enough money for 1 more launch. That's it. If the 4th rocket fails, SpaceX is done. But SpaceX isn't even his biggest problem. Over at Tesla, things are somehow even worse. The company's trying to manufacture its first car, the Roadster, a sleek electric sports car with a price tag of $109,000. They have 1,200 pre-orders, 1,200 customers who've given Tesla their money and are waiting for their cars. By October 2008, they've only delivered 60 of them. Why? Cost overruns, engineering problems, management chaos. The car costs way more to build than they projected. They're bleeding $4 million per month with no end in sight. Musk makes the painful decision to lay off 90% of the Detroit office. He personally guarantees all 1,200 pre-orders, meaning if Tesla fails, he's personally on the hook for the money. And then his personal life implodes. He's going through a divorce from his first wife, Justine Musk. They have 5 children together, and Justine is blogging about the divorce, publicly for the world to read. The tabloids love it. Elon's personal pain becomes entertainment. One friend later describes his state as he was in debt, more than broke. He was borrowing money from friends just to pay his rent. Elon Musk, multi-millionaire founder of 2 revolutionary companies, is borrowing money for rent. And then, as if the universe decided he wasn't suffering enough, the global economy collapses. September 15, 2008. Lehman Brothers, one of the largest investment banks in the world, declares bankruptcy. The Great Recession begins. Credit markets freeze. The stock market crashes. The auto industry begs Congress for bailouts. This is the absolute worst time in modern history to be running a car company or trying to raise money for anything. And that's when things get really desperate, because Musk looks at the numbers and realizes something horrible. He doesn't have enough money to save both companies. On paper, he has to choose SpaceX or Tesla. Which of his children does he let die? He later admits, I could either pick SpaceX or Tesla or split the money I had left between them. That was a tough decision. But there's another problem. At Tesla, one of the major investors, this guy named Alan Salzman from Vantage Point Capital, is trying to remove Musk as CEO. Salzman thinks Musk is the problem. He wants him out. Musk's brother Kimball, who's on the Tesla board, blocks the vote. Family loyalty saves Elon's position, but just barely. Now Musk needs to raise $40 million to keep Tesla alive, but Salzman's vetoing the deal because it doesn't give him enough control. So Elon does something desperate. He restructures the entire financing to work around Salzman's veto. Instead of selling equity, he takes on more debt. It's riskier, but it's the only way forward. He puts in $20 million of his own money, basically everything he has left, and he convinces other investors to match it. Everything comes down to a conference call on Christmas Eve. December 24, 2008, 6 p.m. Elon's on a conference call with investors, and if they don't approve the financing right now, right this moment, it's over. In 3 days, Tesla's payroll will bounce. The company will collapse. He's making his case. Voice steady, but inside, he's falling apart. Everything he's built, everything he's sacrificed, comes down to this call. The investors agree. The deal closes at 6 p.m., the last hour of the last day possible. Musk later tweets about this moment. Tesla financing round closed at 6 p.m. December 24, 2008, last hour of last day possible, or payroll would have bounced 2 days later. I gave Tesla last of my remaining cash from PayPal. Didn't even own a house or anything sellable. He breaks down crying on the phone. One investor later describes it as the most extraordinary act of entrepreneurial zeal and commitment he'd ever seen, because Musk didn't just risk his money, he went net negative, personally in debt for a company that everyone thought was doomed. But wait, there's more. Because the day before, December 23rd, SpaceX received some news. Remember that fourth rocket launch I mentioned, the one that had to work, or SpaceX dies. September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 launches for the fourth time. It clears the launch pad. First stage separates cleanly. Second stage ignites, and for the first time in SpaceX history, it reaches orbit. The first privately funded liquid fuel rocket to ever reach orbit. SpaceX makes history. And on December 23rd, Christmas Eve, NASA announces a $1.6 billion contract with SpaceX to resupply the International Space Station. $1.6 billion. In the span of 48 hours, both of his companies are saved. SpaceX gets a massive NASA contract. Tesla closes its financing round. Musk later admits that at that moment he had just a few $100,000 left to his name. So let me paint the picture here. 2 days after Christmas, 2008, Elon Musk is sitting in his office. Probably hasn't slept in days. He's been through a divorce, lost most of his fortune, faced bankruptcy, watched his rockets explode, nearly lost both companies. But he's still here. Both companies survived barely. Most people would take that as a sign to slow down, play it safe, be grateful for survival. But here's the thing about Elon Musk. Surviving has never been enough. 2009. The Great Recession is still hammering the economy. GM and Chrysler are bankrupt. The unemployment rate hits 10%. This is not the time to be in the car business, but sometimes crisis creates opportunity, and Tesla's about to catch two crucial breaks. First, Daimler, the German company that owns Mercedes-Benz, decides they want to build electric versions of their smart cars. They need someone who understands electric powertrains. They give Tesla a battery contract worth $40 million, then buy a 10% stake in the company for $50 million. That's $90 million, and more importantly, it's validation. One of the most prestigious automakers in the world just invested in Tesla. Then Toyota comes in. They invest $50 million and sell Tesla a massive manufacturing plant in Fremont, California. The same plant where they used to build cars with GM. Suddenly, Tesla has cash, credibility, and a factory. But Musk knows something critical. This isn't enough. Tesla is burning through cash to develop the Model S sedan, a beautiful, practical electric car that's supposed to cost around $50,000 and actually appeal to normal people, not just rich early adopters. To build that car at scale, Tesla needs billions. CFO Deepak Ahuja explains the logic. For us, an IPO was not an exit strategy. For us, that was the best way to get capital at the lowest cost possible by going to the public market. An automotive company is asset-intensive. We knew we needed billions of dollars, and there was no VC in the Valley who was going to give us even $100 million. So they decide to go public. June 29, 2010. Tesla Motors goes public on the NASDAQ. The IPO is priced at $17 per share. They're selling 13.3 million shares, expecting to raise maybe $200 million. This is a huge moment. The first American automaker to go public since Ford Motor Company in 1956. 54 years. That's how long it's been since an American car company has successfully IPO'd, and that should tell you how hard this business is. The stock opens at $19. Within hours, it hits $25. It closes the first day at $23.89, up 41%. Tesla raises $226 million. But Wall Street isn't exactly celebrating. If you look at the headlines from 2010, they're brutal. Barron's publishes a piece titled Tesla, a car maker that's actually more overvalued than its cars. Goldman Sachs initiates coverage with a neutral rating, which in Wall Street speak means we think this is going nowhere. Jim Cramer, the guy who screams stock tips on CNBC, says, buy on IPO day, and then reverses his position days later. The skepticism is everywhere. Critics point out that Tesla has never had a profitable quarter since it was founded in 2003. They've lost $260 million cumulatively. They've only sold about 1,000 Roadsters total. And the competition is coming. Nissan's about to launch the Leaf, a fully electric car for $25,000. Chevy's got the Volt for $35,000, both backed by massive auto companies with thousands of dealerships. Tesla has 12 dealerships. One analyst sums up the skepticism perfectly. I'm struggling to see what Tesla's unique selling point is, to be frank. While Tesla's fighting for credibility in public markets, SpaceX is quietly building a monster in private. May 2012, the Dragon spacecraft becomes the first commercial vehicle to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. Think about that. For decades only, governments could do this. The U.S., Russia, Europe, Japan, and now a private company funded by a guy who was broke 4 years ago just did it. SpaceX's valuation nearly doubles overnight from $1.3 billion to $2.4 billion. But the real breakthrough is reusability. See, traditionally, rockets are used once. You spend $50 to $100 million building a rocket. It launches, and then it crashes into the ocean. Gone. You have to build a new one for the next launch. Musk thinks this is insane. He says it's like throwing away a 747 airplane after every flight. So SpaceX starts developing technology to land the first stage booster and reuse it. December 2015, SpaceX successfully lands a Falcon 9 first stage for the first time. The rocket launches, delivers its payload, comes back down, and lands vertically on a landing pad. March 2017, they refly a landed booster. Same rocket launched twice. This is revolutionary. This changes everything about the economics of space. 2015, Google and Fidelity invest $1 billion in SpaceX at a $12 billion valuation. By 2018, SpaceX has over $12 billion in contracts on its manifest. Launches booked years in advance from commercial satellite companies, NASA, the Department of Defense, and there's one more thing. In 2015, Musk announces a new project called Starlink. The idea is launch thousands of satellites into low Earth orbit to provide high-speed internet anywhere on the planet. Everyone thinks it's impossible. The graveyard of failed satellite internet companies is long and expensive. Iridium, Globalstar, Teledesic, OneWeb, all billions of dollars, all bankrupt or struggling. But Musk has something they didn't: reusable rockets and the ability to manufacture satellites at scale. May 2019, SpaceX launches the first 60 Starlink satellites. So, by early 2020, the foundation is set. Tesla is a public company with multiple models in production. SpaceX is dominating the launch market and building a satellite constellation. Both companies are finally starting to look stable. But there's one problem. Tesla still isn't really making money, and they're about to launch the Model 3. The $35,000 car that's supposed to bring electric vehicles to the masses. If they screw this up, all the progress, all the survival, all the near-death experiences won't matter. And spoiler alert, they're about to screw it up spectacularly. March 31st, 2016. Tesla unveils the Model 3 at an event in Los Angeles. This is it. This is the car that's supposed to change everything. Starting price $35,000. Range 215 miles. 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, and it looks good. Sleek, minimalist, futuristic. Within a week, Tesla receives over 300,000 reservations. People putting down a $1,000 deposit for a car that won't be delivered for over a year. Wall Street starts doing the math. If Tesla can actually build and sell 300,000 Model 3s, they won't just be a niche luxury car company. They'll be a real automaker. There's just one problem. Tesla has no idea how to manufacture 300,000 cars per year. Musk sets this insane goal, ramp production from 0 to 5,000 Model 3s per week within 6 months. The manufacturing team tells him this is impossible. The industry standard is to slowly ramp production over years, not months. You need to work out the kinks, optimize the line, train the workers. Musk doesn't care. He wants 5,000 per week by June 2018. What actually happens? By the first quarter of 2018, they're barely making 200 cars per week. The production line keeps breaking down. Robots aren't working properly. There are bottlenecks everywhere. Quality control issues, delays, chaos. Musk later calls this period production and logistics hell. And that's not marketing speak. That's accurate. Tesla's free cash flow goes negative for 5 straight quarters. They're burning over $7,000 per minute. The stock price drops. Short sellers are betting billions that Tesla will go bankrupt. The media runs stories asking if this is finally the end of Musk's car company. And Elon. He moves into the factory, not metaphorically. He's sleeping on a couch in a conference room, sometimes on the factory floor itself, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. He's personally debugging robots, redesigning parts of the production line, standing on the assembly line next to workers trying to figure out why things keep breaking. One time there's a problem with the battery module line. It's supposed to be automated but keeps jamming. So Musk and a small team rip out part of the automated system and replace it with humans doing the work manually just to keep cars moving. It's desperate, it's insane, and slowly it starts working. June 2018, Tesla hits 5,000 Model 3s in a week. They have to build a tent in the parking lot to add extra production capacity, but they do it. Musk later reflects, "The past year has been the most difficult and painful year of my career. It was excruciating, but they survived. Again." For like the third time, Tesla came within weeks of bankruptcy and somehow pulled through. And then 2020 happens. January 1st, 2020, Elon Musk's net worth is $27 billion. That's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But in the world of mega-billionaires, it's respectable, not exceptional. He's nowhere near the richest person in the world. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hits. March 2020, the economy shuts down. Stock market crashes. Tesla stock drops with it. For a moment, it looks like we're heading into another 2008-style disaster. But then something weird happens. The stock market recovers fast. And Tesla's stock doesn't just recover, it explodes. Here's why. For the first time in its history, Tesla is consistently profitable. Quarter after quarter, they're making money, not from regulatory credits or accounting tricks. Actual profit from selling cars. July 2020, Tesla becomes the most valuable car company in the world, surpassing Toyota. August 2020, they announce a 5-for-1 stock split. The stock is trading over $1,400 per share, and they split it to make it more accessible to retail investors. And retail investors, they go absolutely crazy for Tesla. This is the era of Robinhood trading, stimulus checks, people stuck at home day trading. Tesla becomes a meme stock before meme stocks are even a thing. December 2020, Tesla joins the S&P 500, the index of America's 500 largest companies. The market cap is over $600 billion. And Elon Musk's net worth. It's moving so fast you can barely keep track. By December 31, 2020, $170 billion. That's an increase of $143 billion in a single year. To put that in perspective, Musk made more money in 2020 than he made in his entire life before that year. November 2020, he passes Mark Zuckerberg to become the third richest person in the world. 1 week later, passes Bill Gates to become number 2. January 7, 2021, his net worth hits $185 billion. He officially surpasses Jeff Bezos to become the richest person on Earth. The guy who was borrowing rent money in 2008 is now worth more than the founder of Amazon. But he's not done. September 2021, first person in history to have a net worth over $200 billion. November 2021, net worth peaks at $340 billion. At this moment, Elon Musk is richer than John D. Rockefeller ever was, even adjusting for inflation. He's the richest person in modern history. And meanwhile, SpaceX is having its own incredible run. By October 2021, the company is valued at $100 billion. Musk owns 42% of SpaceX, so that's another $42 billion added to his net worth. Everything he bet on, the electric cars, the rockets, the satellites, it's all working at the same time, against all odds, against all the skeptics, against basic probability. It's all working. The man is on top of the world. And that's when he makes one of the most impulsive, expensive, and controversial decisions of his entire career, a decision that will cost him $200 billion and nearly destroy his reputation. April 4, 2022. Elon Musk quietly starts buying Twitter stock. By April 14th, he's acquired 9.2% of the company, making him the largest individual shareholder. Twitter's board offers him a seat. He accepts, then changes his mind days later. April 14, 2022. Musk makes an unsolicited offer to buy the entire company for $54.20 per share. Total price $44 billion. When asked why, he says Twitter isn't living up to its potential as a platform for free speech. He thinks he can fix it. The Twitter board, after a brief fight, accepts the offer, and then Musk immediately tries to back out. He claims Twitter lied about the number of bot accounts on the platform. Twitter sues to force him to complete the purchase. There are months of legal battles, public arguments, leaked text messages. Finally, on October 27, 2022, Elon Musk completes the acquisition, $44 billion. He immediately fires the CEO, the CFO, and most of the executive team. Then he lays off about 80% of the staff. from 7,500 employees down to 1,500. The platform descends into chaos. Verification gets monetized and then exploited. Major advertisers pull their spending. Users flee to alternative platforms. In April 2023, Musk rebrands Twitter to X, changing the iconic bluebird logo to a simple X. And the whole time this is happening, Tesla's stock is collapsing. See, investors are worried. They're worried that Musk is distracted. They're worried that he's damaging the Tesla brand by alienating customers with controversial Twitter posts. They're worried that he had to sell $40 billion worth of Tesla stock to help fund the Twitter purchase. But the stock crash isn't just about Twitter. There are other factors. Interest rates are rising, which hurts growth stocks like Tesla. Competition is intensifying. Ford, GM, Rivian, Lucid. Every automaker on Earth is now making electric vehicles. COVID lockdowns in China shut down Tesla's Shanghai factory for weeks. The stock, which hit $414 in November 2021, falls to $101 by December 2022, a 65% drop. And Elon Musk's net worth. It goes from $340 billion in November 2021 to $137 billion by December 30th, 2022. He lost $203 billion. Let me say that again. Elon Musk lost $200 billion in 13 months. Guinness World Records certifies this as the largest loss of personal wealth in history. On December 30th, 2022, Bernard Arnault, the French billionaire who runs LVMH, the luxury goods conglomerate, officially surpasses Musk to become the richest person in the world. The headlines are brutal. The fall of Elon Musk. How Musk lost his crown. Is this the end of the Elon era? For the first time since January 2021, Elon Musk is not the richest person on Earth. But here's the thing, and this is crucial to understand. The underlying businesses, Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, they're still growing. Tesla is still the world's most valuable automaker. SpaceX is still dominating the launch industry. Starlink is approaching 1 million subscribers. The loss wasn't because the businesses failed. It was because the stock market revalued them. And Musk, he's been here before. He's been broke before. He's faced bankruptcy before. The question wasn't if he'd bounce back. The question was how high he'd bounce. June 2023. Just 6 months after losing the title, Elon Musk reclaims it. He's the richest person in the world, again surpassing Bernard Arnault. But this is just the beginning of something unprecedented. See, while everyone was focused on the Twitter drama and the stock crash, the foundation companies were building something massive. Let's talk about SpaceX. By 2024, SpaceX isn't just a rocket company anymore. It's a vertically integrated space empire. Starlink, which launched its first satellites in 2019, now has over 6,000 satellites in orbit. It's providing high-speed internet to 6 million subscribers across 140 countries, remote areas, ships at sea, disaster zones. Anywhere with a view of the sky can now get fast internet. And the revenue. Starlink is projected to generate $15.5 billion in 2025. To put that in perspective, NASA's entire budget is $18.8 billion. One division of one private company is making almost as much money as America's entire space agency. December 2024. SpaceX completes a tender offer that values the company at $350 billion. Wait, it gets better. By October 2025, that valuation jumps to $400 billion. Elon owns 42% of SpaceX. Do the math. His stake is worth $168 billion. Meanwhile, Tesla. Despite all the competition, despite all the skepticism, the stock roars back. The company's market cap approaches $1 trillion again. Cybertruck production begins. The energy storage business is booming. $6 billion in revenue. Full self-driving technology, while controversial, is improving. Musk's 13% stake is worth about $191 billion. And then there's the political play. 2024 is a presidential election year, and Elon Musk goes all in supporting Donald Trump's campaign. He donates $277 million to Trump's campaign and associated PACs. That's more money than any individual has ever donated to a political campaign in American history. November 2024, Trump wins, and Trump taps Musk to lead a new organization called the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, because of course it is. The role is unpaid, and Musk steps back from it by April 2025 to refocus on his companies, but during that time, federal contracts with SpaceX surge. As of November 2024, the federal government has signed $20 billion in contracts with SpaceX. And then there's xAI, Musk's artificial intelligence company. In March 2025, xAI merges with X, the company formerly known as Twitter, creating xAI Holdings. Musk owns 33% of xAI Holdings. The company is valued at roughly $105 billion. He also owns stakes in Neuralink, his brain-computer interface company, and The Boring Company, his tunnel drilling venture. These are smaller, maybe a few billion combined, but they add up. December 2024. Elon Musk becomes the first person in history to have a net worth of $400 billion. October 2025, according to Forbes, he crosses $500 billion. $500 billion. He's about $150 billion richer than the second richest person on Earth, Oracle founder Larry Ellison. His wealth is greater than the combined market capitalization of Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Porsche, and Ford. In Indian rupees, his net worth is over 32 crore rupees. His wealth exceeds the GDP of most countries on Earth. So let's zoom out for a second and appreciate what actually happened here. January 1st, 2020, Elon Musk's net worth was $27 billion. October 2025, $500 billion. In 5 years and 10 months, he increased his wealth by $473 billion. For comparison, Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, built his $90 billion fortune over 60 years of patient, disciplined investing. Musk made 5 times that much in less than 6 years. How? Let's be clear about this. It wasn't luck. It wasn't inheritance. It wasn't one brilliant idea. It was several good ideas executed with extreme risk tolerance at exactly the right time. Electric vehicles were becoming inevitable due to climate concerns and government regulations. Musk bet on that trend when it was still risky. Space launch costs needed to come down for the satellite internet business to be viable. Musk invested a decade perfecting reusable rockets when everyone said it was impossible. The pandemic accelerated everything. Remote work increased demand for internet connectivity. Government stimulus flooded the stock market. Retail investors piled into growth stocks. And Musk. He had the only pure-play electric vehicle company and the only successful satellite internet constellation right when the world needed both. But let's not romanticize this too much because the volatility is insane. 75% of Musk's wealth comes from Tesla stock, even with his diversification. That stock can swing billions in a single day based on a tweet, an earnings miss, or a regulatory headline. He's lost $200 billion in a year before. He could do it again. And there's the Tesla compensation package drama. In January 2024, a Delaware judge voided his $55 billion pay package from 2018, calling it an unfathomable sum. Tesla shareholders voted to reapprove it in June 2024, but litigation is ongoing. In December 2024, the judge rejected it again. Tesla's board has now proposed a new compensation package worth potentially $1 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T, that would vest starting in 2033. And there's speculation that SpaceX might eventually go public, which would unlock another massive wave of wealth creation. Some analysts think Musk could become the world's first trillionaire by the early 2030s. So, what's the lesson here? What can we actually learn from this story? Because it's easy to look at Elon Musk's $500 billion net worth and think, well, I can't do that. That's impossible. He's lucky. He's special. He's different. And yes, there are factors that make this story unique. Not everyone can raise $100 million after selling their first company. Not everyone has the technical knowledge to actually understand rockets and electric vehicles. Not everyone is willing to work 100-hour weeks and sleep on factory floors. But strip away the billions and what you're left with is this: a guy who bet everything on things he believed were important, even when everyone told him he was wrong. A guy who went bankrupt twice and kept going. A guy who didn't optimize for safety or comfort, but for impact. In 2008, Elon Musk had 3 days before Tesla's payroll would bounce. He was borrowing money for rent. Everyone thought he was finished. 17 years later, he's the richest human being in the history of civilization. That's not a story about money. That's a story about conviction. And maybe the question isn't whether someone will surpass his $500 billion. Maybe the question is whether Elon Musk will surpass himself. Because if Tesla approves that $1 trillion compensation package, if SpaceX goes public, if Starlink keeps growing, if xAI becomes the leader in artificial intelligence, we might be watching a race to something nobody's ever seen before, the world's first trillionaire. And there's only one person crazy enough or committed enough to try.